our original image, A is going to be -6, 4. B is going to be 6, 4. C is going to be -4, -2. And D will be 4, -2. Then at the bottom of your note card, so whatever room you have left, draw a coordinate grid. You're going to need at least 6 units vertically.
So that way?
This way. So you'll need at least 6 units vertically. And then your x-axis would actually be up 2 from there. So it might look a little lopsided, like it might be like this, because you need 2 units down and then 4 units up. That's okay.
We just create this in the other color.
What? Just create, yes. So now we'll be using our other color. I'm going to dilate it a scale factor of 1/2. So is my image going to get bigger or smaller? Smaller. Okay. So then what do I do to figure out what my new A would be?
Divide by 2.
So multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So I could divide by 2. So what would my new A be, Coulter? Good. What would my new B be, Grace? My new B. Negative. Sorry. Negative or positive? 32. Thanks for the help, DJ. C would be what, Jude? -2, -1. And D would be what, Carter? 2, -1. Good. So then you're going to graph those. So in your pencil, you're going to graph the original. So that's what your original should look close to. What picture does it make? A trapezoid. Good. And then graph your new image in your different color. And that's what it should look like. Questions on that one? What you do when you're given the dimensions, but you don't know the scale factor. So we're going to title it Finding.
Do we write this in the color?
No, this can be in your pencil. Finding the scale factor. And what letter represents the scale factor?
Okay.
Good. Okay. So let's say I have a piece of paper. And its dimensions are 8.5 by 11 inches. And I want to shrink that piece of paper so that it's the size of a business card.
By
What?
By
11 inches. So I want to shrink that piece of paper so it's the size of a business card. So it's going to be 1 7/10 by 2 1/5. So the ratio that we use is the new divided by the original or old.
What? Inches? Millimeters? Inches?
And it's important, so the one thing that I need to reiterate to you guys is if you start with a piece of paper and it's 11 by 8.5, when I reduce the image, I have to make sure that I still compare the shortest side to the shortest side and the longest side to the longest side. Because if I didn't, I would distort the image, right? Because if I took it, the image was like this, let's say it's a person, and I accidentally switched the dimensions around, my person would then become this way on the business card, and he'd be really short, but really wide, okay? So that's not what you want, okay? So make sure when you're comparing, it's the shortest side to the shortest side, and the longest side to the longest side. So what's the new for your shortest side? 1 7/10. And you're going to divide it by the original, which is 8.5. What do you get?
How do you put a fraction on this?
0.2. I'll do that in a little bit.
Yeah, 0.2.
Okay, I'll do that in a little bit. Okay, so then if I just wanted to make sure that my other side was the same, what would I put over what? 2 1/5 divided by 11, because it's the new image, which is 2 1/5 dimension by 11, which gives me what?
0. Oh wait. 0.2.
0.2 again?
Yeah.
Okay, so were the scale factors the same?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so what is K equals what?
0.2.
What is that as a fraction?
1/2.
1/5, which is 2/10, but reduced is 1/5. So that would be your answer. Okay, questions on that?
What if
If the scale factors aren't equal, you know you did something wrong, because they should always be equal. Otherwise, you're distorting your image. Good question. Okay, so then the last thing I wanted to talk about is actually in your homework assignment. It's on page 492 in your textbook. And that's this graphic organizer right here. So what this says is the directions. In each part of the graphic organizer, sketch an image of a pentagon MNOPQ after a dilation with the given parameters. So in this first one, Carter and Josie, am I interrupting you?
No,
You're not even on the right page.
Okay. I know how to get this.
Okay, so here it says 0 is less than k, which is less than 1. What does that mean? Good, so it says that k has to be less than 1, but it also has to be bigger than 0. So all that means is we've been talking about when we have k, or the scale factor is less than 1, do you shrink the image or do you enlarge the image?
Shrink.
Shrink the image. Do you think you could have a scale factor of a negative number? No. Okay, so that's why it has k is greater than 0, because it has to be a positive number, but it's less than 1. So they want you to sketch a rough draft of what the image would look like if k was less than 1. Okay, so you would draw whether you think the image would get bigger or smaller. If k equals 1, what happens to your picture?
Stays the same.
The size doesn't change, right? Because 1 times anything is just that number. So it doesn't change the picture. So then you would just redraw that picture there. And then this one says when k is greater than 1, give me a rough drawing whether it would be an enlargement or shrink. Okay? So that's what I want for number 6. The rest of your homework then is on the previous page, 491, numbers 1 through 6.